Hey there, Night Owls. Thank you so much for being with us tonight to celebrate Kiki MacAdoo and the Graveyard Ballerinas by Colette Sewall. Colette couldn't be with us tonight, but she took the time to record some fun videos anyway. This video is not quite a live tonight, but we're still here in the comments and we're excited to interact with you. I'm Carrie Gesslison. I'm the publicity manager at Owl Hollow. That basically means that I have the fun job of finding fun ways to get the books in front of our audience. Tonight it's going to be a lot of fun. We will be talking with you, and we have a video from Colette introducing Kiki MacAdoo, and then we have some adorable Q&As from some fun fans that you'll get to see. In between questions, we'll be throwing in some fun trivia and giving away prizes to those who answer. So who's ready? Tell us in the comments down below. All right, without further ado, let's jump right in for our author, Colette Sewall.
Hi everybody, my name is Colette Sewall and I am the author of this new book called Kiki MacAdoo and the Graveyard Ballerinas. It's published by Owl Hollow Press. There we go. And it just came out on Tuesday, August 4th, which was actually the day of that hurricane, or actually the tropical storm, and it made its way up the East Coast where I live, on the eastern end of Long Island. And on the day of the launch, we got an alert to go hide in our basement because a tornado might be coming. So that was kind of scary. I thought maybe, oh, this was going to be like the Wizard of Oz and I'd be transported to some other magical land. But luckily, everything worked out okay. We just lost a tree. But anyway, we have electricity. A lot of people don't, so we're still lucky as far as that goes. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story here, Kiki. Kiki is about an 11-year-old girl who loves ballet. Unfortunately, she's not as good at it. It doesn't come naturally to her. She has bow legs and she has difficulty counting music. And unlike her sister, who's going to be turning 16, her sister is sort of a dance prodigy. And they go, the beginning of the story is the two sisters go away to camp together upstate. It's about 2 hours north of New York in the mountains, and these mountains are called Mount Phelim. And the dance camp takes place in a big, beautiful Gothic building surrounded by a magical forest. And this forest has fairies and some other nefarious creatures. And while Kiki's there, she befriends a young boy named Oliver who lives in the woods with his grandfather. And he's a dancer at the conservatory, and they become really close friends. And he teaches her about a lot of the secrets of the forest, and one of which has to do with the ballet called Giselle, which is one of my favorite ballets. Giselle is a ballet that has to do with young dancers that were jilted at the altar on the night of their wedding, and they're so upset they dance all night and they dance themselves to death, and they become these called sylphs, and some people call them willies, for eternity. And they rise from their graves every night at midnight at the stroke of 12, and they dance all night. And Kiki's sister during this camp winds up having a sweet 16 party that doesn't turn out to be as the way she had hoped. And Kiki's sister Allison wanders off into the woods and into the area where the willies are. And Kiki has to try and save her sister from this horrible, gruesome death, possibly. And right now I'm working on the sequel to the book, which will also feature Kiki and Oliver. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a former dancer, and I also had dance studios for 30 years. And when I retired, I decided to go back to my other two loves, which are writing and painting. And so since I love painting, I had the character Kiki love painting also. So I hope you all enjoy the book, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
So fun to hear about your hurricane, and we're so glad that you're okay. We are also so excited for you to introduce your spooky magical book with us and all of the people that are here tonight. Okay, here's our first round of questions for Colette.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I love ballet and love writing books. I have two questions for you. What made you go from a ballerina to a writer? And how much potential does someone need to write a book? Thank you.
I received a bunch of great questions last night, so I'll do my best to try and answer them. The first question is from Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Jordan asked me, what made you go from being a ballerina to writing a book? Well, I had danced and had dance studios for over 30 years, and when it came time to retire, I decided to return to the two other things that I enjoy and love in life, which are painting and writing. And so when I decided to write a book, I decided to write a book about a young ballerina. And then since I do love painting, I decided to have Kiki love to paint like I do. So I was able to incorporate all of my interests in one. And Jordan also asked, how much potential do you need to write a book? I think as long as you enjoy something and you keep at it, that's all that matters. If you enjoy it, then you'll love it, and you'll just keep writing, and you're getting better and better and better. So if you enjoy it, keep at it, okay?
My name is Ruby. I used to take ballet, and I want to know what it's like to be a real ballerina.
Hi, Ruby. Ruby asked, what is it like to be a real ballerina? Well, as with anything in life, things are difficult. You have to work at it, and it's hard. But if you love it, then you don't feel like it's hard because you enjoy doing it so much.
How did you get the idea to write a book about ballerinas and graveyards?
And Ruby also asked, how did you get to write a book about a ballerina graveyard? Well, when I was young, my mother used to tell me the story about a ballet called Giselle. And in this ballet of Giselle, these heartbroken dancers died from heartbreak, and they became ghosts. And every night they rise from their graves at midnight, and at the stroke of 12, they dance all night from midnight to dawn. And I always loved that story. It always spooked me, but I still loved it. So that's why when I decided to write a children's book, I thought that might make a really good fantasy story.
Okay, now for our first round of trivia. What are 3 main reasons that ballerinas traditionally wear buns? The first 3 correct answers win. Number 1, to prevent hair from getting in the way. Number 2, to provide a uniform and elegant look for all the ballerinas. To maintain focus on the dancers, not the hair. So sorry, I'm multitasking. We have a fun little fan here that's joining us tonight. Now for our second round of Q&A.
Hi, I'm McKenna, and I like writing books, and I want to know what your writing process is.
My next question is from McKenna. And McKenna likes writing books, which is great. And McKenna asked, what is your writing process? Well, for me, I like to get up really early, and right after I have breakfast, I go in my own room and I shut everything out, and I like to be in there alone, and I put on big headphones and I listen to music, depending on what kind of scene I'm writing. If I'm writing a calm scene, I'll listen to calm music. If I'm writing a frightening scene, then I listen to kind of frantic music. Depends what kind of mood I need to be in. And so I like to do that pretty much first thing in the morning before everything starts to get hectic, you know, during life, things around me, and then you kind of lose your concentration.
Is it scary putting a book out into the world for the first time?
McKenna also asked, is it scary putting a book out into the world for the first time? It is kind of scary because you're hoping, you put a lot of work into it. It takes a lot of work to write a book and get it out there, and a lot of people are involved helping you. So you do hope that people enjoy it. So in that way, it is kind of scary. I just forgot to say hi to McKenna. Hi, McKenna, keep writing.
Hi, my name is Nora. I want to know if Kiki MacAdoo ever finds her sister.
And Nora, hi Nora. Nora asked, does Kiki ever find her sister? Well, the thing is, if I tell you the answer to that, then I'll kind of spoil it for people who haven't read the book. So I think I'll leave that answer up in the air, and if you read the book, you'll find out what happens to Kiki and her sister.
Which is harder, writing a book or ballet?
Hi, and you had asked, which is harder, writing a book or ballet? Well, they're both difficult, but they're difficult in different ways. Ballet is physical, you know, a lot more work with your body, working out, and whereas writing a book is more mental, where you're kind of just sitting down, your brain is doing all the work. So they're different, they're both hard, but they're both very gratifying if you enjoy those kind of things.
Why do you like scary stories?
And then you also asked, why do you like writing scary stories? I like scary stories because I think that life is scary, even for adults sometimes. So I like to write a scary story where the character has to face her fears and then work through it, and then she'll come out okay in the end. So we have to do that in life a lot too.
Why did you make Kiki not as good as her sister?
And then you also asked, why did you make Kiki not as good as her sister? Well, I think that in life there are people that say in anything, in sports and music and writing, there's some people that it comes easier to, and then other people have to work harder at it. So with Kiki, I had her sister, with her sister, it came easily to her, but with Kiki, she did have to work at it. So I think it's kind of an important lesson that just because maybe something doesn't come that easily to you, you can, if you love it, you should still stick with it and work at it, and you can become just as good as the other person because maybe they won't work as hard at it because it comes so easily to them. So don't give up, even if you find it hard. Okay, so those are the questions from the children, and I'll say goodbye now, and then I'll sign off, and then I'll answer the other questions I received.
Those questions are so great, and they make you really think about the background and all the work that goes into something like this, the personal experience and all of the writing process. So those were really great questions. Thank you. Okay, our next trivia question. Ballet positions. We'll do 3 different positions. First one to get it right wins. Number 1, the answer is plie. Number 2, the answer is arabesque. Number 3, the answer is 4th position. And now for our final round of Q&A.
Hi everybody, it's me again. These are some of the written questions I received. And one was, what inspired you to write a story that incorporated your background in dance? And I think I touched on that a bit before with my mother telling me the story of Giselle when I was really young, and how I always thought that would make a great fantasy. Then the next question I have is, what was the hardest scene for you to write in Kiki MacAdoo? Yeah, that's a good question because maybe it's different for different authors, but for me, I find the climax the hardest part because I'm throwing all of these problems at this poor character, and the character has to find ways to get out of them. So I have to, not only do I have to think of the problems, but then I have to think of, well, how is she going to solve this? And then when she solves that one, then another one gets thrown at her, and I have to figure out, well, how is she going to get out of this one? So that one's pretty tricky. That takes a lot of thought. Okay. The next question is, what books inspired you to write, and who are your favorite authors? Well, there's a very famous author who was born in the 1800s, and her name is Louisa May Alcott. And I'm related to her, kind of distant, but her great-grandparents were my 4 times great-grandparents. So when I was young, of course, we had her book in the house, and I thought it was amazing that, because when I was growing up, we didn't have all these tons of fantastic books that children have out now. So it wasn't the same. So I was just really fascinated that a woman, Louisa May Alcott, wrote this book, and it was about sisters, and I really enjoyed it. So I think that always stayed in the back of my mind about, wow, maybe someday I could write a book. And another question here is, who are your favorite authors? That's a tricky one because I have so many, and I don't want to leave anyone out. So I'll just say, from the publisher, my publisher, Owl Hollow Press, we have a couple of great middle grade books by Darby Cartwright. We have Josh Roberts just wrote a great one, The Witches of Willow Cove, and then I'm with a group of a bunch of other writers who are debuting, and their books are all fantastic, so I don't want to just pick one. Okay, what are some of the most underappreciated books that you love. That's another tough one because I don't know if you want to call underappreciated by how many they sell, because maybe that's not a good way to decide on that, because maybe a book didn't sell well, but there were children that really loved it. So that's a hard one to say. But I will say, when I was growing up, I loved the book Madeline very much, and I also loved The Little Prince, but I think they're quite well known. I don't think they went unappreciated. Okay, here's a question, longer one. Something I love about Kiki MacAdoo and the Graveyard Ballerinas are the unique and believable characters. How readers build a picture of them from their habits and mannerisms, and not so much from their appearances, unless it helps to move the story, like Kiki comparing herself to her older sister. Too often, I see authors give massive info dumps when describing their characters, detailing every little aspect about them until it's a jumbled mess of descriptive muck. Well, okay, what is your secret ingredient for breathing life into characters? Well, I don't like to put too much description. I don't like to describe my characters too much because I want to leave a lot of it up to the imagination of the reader. Because I think the reader needs to be involved with the story, and I think the reader needs to create the images in their head to a certain degree. I think you have to give them, a basic knowledge of what you believe the character is, but I think they need to do the rest kind of in their mind and picture it. That's why lots of times when a person reads a book and they love it, and then they go to the movies and they say, the movie wasn't that great, is because they pictured it a completely different way in their mind than maybe the director did. So that's why I try to just kind of sprinkle some description. Okay, and as my last question I have, as a flight attendant, what was the coolest place you have visited? Well, I love Europe. I got to go to Paris, which I loved, and London I loved, and Malaga, Spain, and Madrid, and Vienna, Austria, and I do love travel. Hopefully when this virus all ends, we'll be able to travel freely again. That would be great. And I also love Disney World too. But I didn't go there as a flight attendant. Okay, and then last question here is, have you met anyone famous? Maybe not that children would know, but older people would know. James Taylor, Billy Joel, and let's see, John Lennon's son, Julian Lennon, who was a performer. So that was interesting. So I think I've come to the end of my questions, and I hope you'll all check out Kiki MacAdoo and the Graveyard Ballerinas, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye, it's been fun. Bye.
We want to thank all of you for your questions, especially those cute little kids. And for you kids that joined with us tonight and sent your questions, we will be sending you a special ballet-related prize in the mail for your contribution to our live tonight. So we'll get your address from your parents, and we'll send you something little in the mail. And thank you all that came tonight and for helping and interacting. We had so much fun talking about Kiki MacAdoo and all the magic in the Graveyard Ballerinas. Pick up your copy of Kiki MacAdoo from the link down below in the comments, and join us next week when publisher Emma Nelson gives us her best tips and tricks to becoming a professional writer, or just staying sane if you already are one. Thanks again.
Subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss an upload, or join us live every Thursday for author interviews, book clubs, writing advice, and more on Facebook at Owl Hollow Press, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. See you Thursday.